Hello and welcome back to Building on a Budget Models. I'm Thomas and this is the full build of the Hella 143rd Jaguar XJR-9. Now this is a small kit, so I'll just do a brief unboxing here. Also got some leftover silk cut decals from the Jaguar version I did before. There's also a couple of wheel axles in here. As you can see, one large white sprue. I'm going to try to add some small modifications to this body to add some detail, cut some bits open, that sort of thing. We've got wheels, there's the supports for the rear wing, steering wheel, there's the rear wing, you've got the back there with the exhaust pipes, interior. Only two steps in the instructions as you can see here, and then decals on the other side. This is the 1989 car which finished 4th at Le Mans. Here's the window, which has got a moulded in windscreen wiper, and you've got a couple of light housings here. One decal sheet. These haven't been printed particularly well, some of the colours are in the wrong places. The inclusion of window trims is a nice feature. Also, these number 1s that go on the side should be black instead of purple. We've got these silk cut decals which come in a variety of different scales. Started with the body here, removing it from the sprue very carefully. Then sanding these places down. I wanted to open some of these vents, so I taped over the edges to protect them. Here, started with this Tamiya scribing tool. When I was happy that it started off, I finished off the cuts with this sprue cutter. Happy with that. I also photocopied the masks. As you can see here, the NACA vents that go over the rear wheels are decals, so I created a little mask for it here, made sure that the position was right by using the photocopy, and scribed the gap like so. Then drilled through with my Dremel and finished it off with these metal files to smooth over the edges. I'm really happy with that. Also wanted to scribe where the wheel covers go, as these panel lines aren't included on the kit. Did this freehand, but I'd looked at pictures of the real car. Also, these vents go at the front. I opened these up using the Dremel as well, and then sanded them smooth using the files. Here it is after a couple of coats of white gloss. Then I again used the photocopied decals to help position the tape to mask in preparation for the purple paint. This was a mixture of Tamiya 1cm and 2cm tape. Make sure to push it down really firmly. Now I cut out this funny shape that goes at the front and then cut very carefully around the edge, using it as a stencil to create this mask here. Again, push this tape in very carefully to make sure that no purple escapes underneath. Also cover up any vents to make sure that no paint bleeds through. There it was masked, and here it was once the 2 coats of purple gloss from Rust-Oleum had gone down. I know that Rust-Oleum isn't the best paint, but I actually found that this was a much closer match to the silk cut purple than Tamiya's recommended paint. Now these white stripes were kind of difficult. I used some microsol to help them move around a little bit, but you may want to cut these into smaller sections to help position them. Be very careful not to accidentally tear them. I removed the NACA vent decal and positioned this as carefully as I could around the decal here. Also cut this into sections to accommodate the new vents I'd opened on the side. Pretty happy with how it looks so far. This one at the front is easily the most difficult of the decals, as it needs to curve around so many surfaces. I also found that the purple section wasn't exactly the right shape, so I'll try and fix that later with some extra purple paint or decals. Once that had gone down, I started using the MSM Creation silk cut decals, starting with these squares that go on the top of the two wheel arches. I applied the other yellow stripes that went down the side of the car and used some softener, some micro sol, to help them adhere to the vents as best as possible. Castrol decal goes on here, and then this is car number 1. C1 decals go on here to show that this was a Group C car. The purple of the silk cut decals isn't an exact match, but I think it's pretty good. I also cut down some of the vents to better help them adhere. One word should be entirely on the side of the door, so that's a good way of positioning these. Found these nail scissors worked quite well to cut them out. And then we've got the white silk cut and the Jaguar logo, which go here on the front. Tyres were provided by Dunlop. Then you've got the little Tom Walkinshaw Racing and another Dunlop decal at the back. Now these barcode sections that go on the side, the rear one with a sort of curve was included even on the cars with silk cut decals. So I cut the rear 5 of those out and put them on. And then there's a little green Jaguar Leaper logo which goes behind the fuel cap on both sides. And then you've got the names of Patrick Tambay, Jan Lammers and Andrew Gilbert-Scott, which go on the roof. The silk cut and taillight decals go on the back. Use some micro sol to help the taillight decals adhere to the moulded place. Then these Dunlop decals go above the 2 silk cut decals on the front. Then, as the 1 decals on the side were the wrong colour, I chose to print off my own ones here. I used the photocopied version, which I'd also scanned, and resized these and recoloured them. Then we've got the interior. First it was painted in matte black, then I did the seat in anthracite grey and the seat belts in satin blue. These are all acrylics from Revell. A little bit more detail on the interior, such as the seatbelt buckles in silver and that blue box which goes above the other side, and those little screws on the panel on the passenger side. Floor of the car was all done in matte black with the front lip in British Racing Green, and then the tyres were sanded down a little bit. The wheels aren't great, but they look okay, especially since the back ones are hidden. The rear tyres are fatter than the front ones, and this metal axle which goes through, the rear one is the shorter of the two. Make sure you get them the right way round. Need to squeeze these in as far as they can go so that the bodywork with the wheel covers fits over the top. Here's the front. Put these on before doing the decals, as you may damage the decals adding them on. There we are, I'm happy with that fitment. And it even still rolls, not that I'm going to be playing with this one. There are Dunlop Sport decals which go on the front. Pretty certain the real car had Denlock tyres, but never mind. The rear wing end plates were painted in white, then I masked them off to paint the rest in purple gloss. Need to be very careful when doing this. Once all the decals and paint had cured, the car was given 3 coats of clear gloss acrylic from Halfords, and then this kind of dashboard section was painted in anthracite grey, and the interior was painted in semi-gloss black, and the steering wheel was put in place. Looked through the spare box and found these 2 small circular lights which were painted the back in silver, and then they were glued into place. The kit suggests using decals for this, but I think that this looks better. Then the outside of the light coverings, The sort of lip around the edge was painted in British Racing Green, and that was secured down with some foam safe superglue. As with all of the clear parts on this, you want to sand them first to make sure that you're happy. These window masks are meant to go on the outside, however they look more realistic on the inside, so I glued them there. They were very difficult though, and I used a bit of spare purple decal for the sun strip and then added the white Jaguar logo on top. Got wing mirrors which go on either side, and then you've got the rear section here. I drilled into the exhaust pipes just to open them up a little bit. Then these were all painted in black. Decals were added to the rear wing. It's a good idea to glue this in place first. Found that made more sense than the way the instructions suggested it. Paint the inside of the front there silver to represent the radiator that you can see through the vent. And then that glues into the rear black section. Then used a little bit of panel liner to pick out some of the vents. And also a little bit of black acrylic to go over the moulded in windscreen wiper. And there we have it. This is finished. It's an interesting kit to build. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, although I'm not sure I'm going to be rushing out to get any more of these Hella 143rd sports cars, as the detail isn't great and I did find some inaccuracies. Anyway, there we have it. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you have a favourite Group C car, which one is it? And if you're not subscribed, please consider clicking that subscribe button and the bell to stay notified for future builds. Thank you very much. Here's a final picture of it with the Hasegawa 1/24 scale, and I'll see you soon.